Matthew chapter 5, from verse 38 to 42. My talk today is entitled The Second Mile Principle. The second mile principle has to do with not just meeting the expectations, but going beyond the expectations. The first aspect that I want to mention is that going a second mile is a sign of surrender. And friends, the aspect of surrender sometimes is taken negatively. We take it negatively. We feel like if I say I'm surrendering, it's because you've defeated me, you've beaten me up. I have no choice but to just say, hey, I am under your authority. But in this particular context, you are actually deliberately putting yourself under the authority of somebody else, not necessarily because they have beaten you up, but you're willingly just saying, hey, I surrender, I submit to you. And in Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 21, we read, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Friends, when somebody asks you to do something, it could be probably a spouse, it could be, a parent, it could even be your child, and you meet the expectations and go beyond even the expectations. What that does is it melts somebody's heart. And the Lord would have us go beyond the expectations. The Lord would have us do more for Him. And as we do even more for Him, friends, it's a sign of our surrender to His authority. It's a sign of, yes, Lord, this is what you want. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to even do more. It's a sign of I surrender my will. I surrender my life. I surrender myself willingly to your authority, God. I will not just do the bare minimum. I will go beyond. And I want to encourage all of us. What is it that is required of you? What is it that the Lord requires of you? Do it, obey Him, and go even beyond. Something else that the second mile principle teaches us is that going a second mile is a sign of servanthood. Many of us like being bosses. We like to be the ones who are giving orders, and we want people to follow the orders. But when we are asked of something and we respond by doing it, it's a sign of servanthood. And by the way, Jesus teaches that he who wants to be great must be a servant. Sometimes we think of servanthood or something inferior, something small, something that belittles you. But the reality is that as you serve others, you actually show you are big enough to be humble enough to serve others. In Mark chapter 10 and verse 45, Jesus is talking and he says, for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Even the Son of Man, he stoops low and he washes the feet of the disciples. Sign of servanthood. Going the extra mile shows I am willing to serve. I challenge us to go the second mile always as the Lord enables us, wherever the Lord has placed us, because it is a sign of servanthood. Going the second mile shows surrender. Going the second mile shows the aspect of servanthood, but also going the extra mile shows the aspect of sacrifice. I'm not just going to do the bare minimum. I'm not just going to reach right here where you want me to go. I will do that, but I'll go beyond. I'm going to sacrifice a little bit more of my time, energy, resources, and meet the expectation and even more. I will not just do what is expected of me, but I'll go beyond. I will sacrifice and do something more. It is a sign of sacrifice and by extension commitment. You are thinking about others, not just yourself. And that's what Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 and 4 says. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Going the second mile is outward looking. It's not just inward looking, thinking about me, I, and myself. It's about each one of us, not just looking at our own interests, but also the interests of others. As you sacrifice for others, they tend to sacrifice more. As you give of your time to others, they tend to, respond positively. As you reach out in a second mile way, many times people will tend to reciprocate. But even if they do not, it's okay. Just play your part. It's a sign of sacrifice. And it's always good to think about others, to reach out to others, not just to think about ourselves. Yes, Jesus teaches us about the second mile principle. And going the second mile is a sign of surrender, both to God and to others. It is a sign of servanthood. As you serve God and serve others, it's also a sign of sacrifice to God and to others.